First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
In studio right now is the county executive, Anthony Picente. Good morning.
Good morning.
So some good things happening out there, it seems.
Well, we're at the stage where we're cutting the ribbons or doing all the openings of all the things that got.
It's interesting.
They kept growing or they kept being built, but we couldn't get to them during
yesterday
the pandemic.
we had Cree in studio yesterday. They're doing a job fair tomorrow, and that's going to be a very big deal because they're really hiring.
They are.
And if you remember, this was the controversy. Why are we bringing them in? This won't go anywhere. And will it be, by the time it opens, the technology will have passed us by? None of that is happening. This seems to be a very viable company that is on top of their game.
They're a phenomenal company. And you also have to point to their community involvement, from the get-go. And even up to the other day, they brought a load of plywood up to
which is not cheap right now.
Which is not cheap right now. I mean, and they really have been, engaged completely. I've had several conversations with the CEO, it's so easy. He's just a great guy. I mean, the whole team is phenomenal. And actually, I was supposed to go there on Monday, and then the weather kind of got in the way to go for a tour through it, so to see where they're at. But
the fact that they gave plywood is incredible with the value of plywood today. I have a friend who actually came out of one of the big box stores. It was Lowe's. He was arrested for shoplifting, and he had a sliver in his hand from just picking up a piece of the wood, and that sliver was worth a lot of money.
This vacation really did him well.
That's right.
And I thought of it on the airplane. That's all I'm thinking of. I can't wait to tell the sliver joke. There'll be a time. I don't know when it'll be, but I'm going to bop that in.
Use it.
You found it.
Yeah,
well, and it's awesome what they're doing with, or what they intend to do if they haven't already, with getting into the schools, especially at a young, at the elementary level, to even really get kids interested in the type of technology that they're producing there.
Can I go even further on that? I think what this has done, it's forced us, and it's forced schools to step up and say, "Oh, we have to train for this."
Right?
It's elevating our level of education in the area just by way of opportunity. I think.
Really is, and despite the fact that we have a great technology base with so many different companies, the lab, and that's what Innovare was about when we talked about that a little bit, or is about, but when you do get a company like Cree that knows and how to engage in terms of all of these things, and you have to go to the technology that they're building, on the electric vehicle side of things, which is really is today. It's not.
It's not tomorrow as well.
It's not, it's today, tomorrow, but it's not. It's not 10 years down the road anymore.
Right. I see what you're saying. You're right.
It's now. It's becoming, in the next few years, manufacturers are just going to be making. Certain ones are just going to be making electric vehicles, and we're especially at Griffiss, we're looking at a plane I talked about in my State of the County, the plane manufacturer that are electric. So all of these changes are really significant in the fact that they're reaching into the community, but also instilling in everybody what this is the future. What and what else can we build? Remember, we've got room for more fabs on that site, and other supply chains. And
there just so happens to be a chip shortage around the world right now.
There is.
Yeah, these manufacturers would love to.
And they're looking, and the good thing is, they're looking at New York, and they're looking at the Northeast in terms of, of solidifying. I've been working with Ryan McMahon in Onondaga. In fact, Ryan was going to come up for the tour the other day. He's still going to come back when we reschedule. Because we're looking at that other corridor between us and Onondaga. We do a lot with UAS now, but doing more with Chip and doing more on the feed off of each other, of what one gets, the other gets, the supply chain, and vice versa. So
I was in this Syracuse area, the DeWitt area yesterday, and I drove by that Amazon center, and it was the first time I had seen it, and it's very impressive. And I can only imagine what's going on at Griffiss and what they do, and ultimately what's happening in Frankfurt, what could be done. It's it's really exciting.
It does make you. If we're now talking about Syracuse as part of our region, it certainly solidifies the thought that we need to look at our area, Utica-Rome, the Mohawk Valley, so Herkimer, Oneida County, and other surrounding counties as one region, because it is.
The state, and I understand why. I worked for the state, and they lopped off and they, segment regions. But when you look at them a little bit, they really don't blend the way they should. And that's not a criticism. It's just a change of the whole economy and sector. When I was with the state, because I represented, when I was with ESD, I had the Mohawk Valley region, which went as far as Montgomery County and Fulton. And when you talk to some of the people there, they associate more with the capital region.
Right. Little Falls is basically the Little Falls St. Johnsville is the line.
Kind of the line of demarcation of coming back. And if you move
and a lot of that has to do with area codes.
It did. And if you move it in, and then federal zones of transportation and all the other crazy, systems that lock into that. But when you look at the central New York, and just look at the map and look at, Oneida County dead center in the upstate.
We're central New York.
And then just look at where we would be with central New York. So it's Herkimer, Oneida, Madison, Onondaga, Oswego, Cayuga. I mean,
it's the 5th Judicial District, which we were just talking about.
I mean, it really is. And you can even put Otsego in there if you if you wanted to. I mean, but so there is more of a synergy there. I mean, not that you work with everybody, but to the far east, of Montgomery County, and got a great relationship with them, and they're part of our district. But then you look at Schoharie County and where that is. It's the Mohawk Valley, and the Mohawk Valley's big, but we're more of central New York. We really are more centered. I mean, with the Mohawk Valley piece.
Well, when they're doing this, the redistricting, and they're grouping up these public hearings. We end up getting grouped up with the North Country, which does make sense.
Right.
But Syracuse gets grouped with the Southern Tier. We should be a part of that. Right. It's almost like we're a sister city to sister community to Syracuse. At least the way we shop, the way we travel, the way we.
And the economics and the industry and the industry level, especially with technology now. I mean, we're in some ways you could almost say ahead of them. When you add a place like Cree into the mix, we are in a different position. So
Innovare, let's talk about that. Sure. And I had a chance to see firsthand what's being done up there, and it is just. It's incredible. What an opportunity to be at that age level, to be able to take advantage of what's going on right now.
It's pretty remarkable, and it really does bring the beauty of it is people from around the globe, and I think that's what we've tried to have people understand that haven't seen it, and what it is, an open innovation campus in which people from doing research from around the globe can work and interact with Rome Lab and other businesses at the park and throughout. In developing research and other aspects of cybersecurity and other aspects of technology research. UAS ties in the Ops Center. It's Innovare. It's the Ops Center. It's the Open Innovation Campus for the lab. It's the Griffiss Institute. It's SUNY.
Yeah.
So it's all inclusive. It's Oneida County. Griffiss. Our UAS test site. So it's all of it wrapped into one, and really everybody can feed off each other and expand with each other. So it's really, a huge investment. One of our probably, one of the things I'm most proud of recently because we were able to, really come forth with the dream that we had of what is Griffiss going to be in the future, and what are we going to focus on?
Well, I remember how angry everybody was when NASCAR was turned down. That was right. That was one of the options to put a NASCAR track at Griffiss.
In the 90s. Yeah, that was in the early. That was shortly after Griffiss.
Shortly after it closed, and the answer to that was no. That doesn't fit the brand.
No,
and certainly it was hard to see back then. But you look at it now and you understand.
Well, there were so many different ideas. I remember from working in the county and then in the state, at that time, and it was, whether it was NASCAR, whether it was
the indoor water theme park,
Paramount Studios was going to come in and buy the whole thing so they could film. And there were so many.
Every war film will be filmed at Griffiss.
There were so many different scenarios of Griffiss of what it could be.
But what it's become is pretty darn impressive right now.
It really is, and with the addition of Air City Lofts, and that expansion, it really adds a new twist to the park. And the whole experience of it, and blending into the cities. Not to forget that it's all a part of the county and Rome and everything else.
Yeah. I want to go to the hospital. Sure. We got about 5 minutes. So where are we on the garage? And we were talking earlier, driving in, even as late as 6 o'clock in the morning, coming from the west, coming from New Hartford, driving down the arterial. They have lights on almost every floor. Yeah. Now there are probably construction lights. But it gives you a feeling of what that's going to look like when it's open. I
went through it last week. The direct tour with Bob Schofield and floor to floor, and the people were saying, you went on other floors. They go, the floors are up. For the most part. They're not all, obviously. Some of them still have to be poured and completed, but and to look at the layout of this place and the magnitude of it right now is pretty remarkable. Yeah. But they're moving along, and I think Bob told me at that time they were like 40%, to their mark of work, and that's pretty remarkable given the weather and other factors and the pandemic, and certainly the issues with workers during the pandemic and illnesses and the like. Yeah. But it's really coming along remarkably, and so we're moving forward on the garage piece next, and and maybe we're looking at what that's going to look like, and how it blends in. So a lot more to do, but we're moving forward.
And then Nexus, we got to be getting
Nexus.
Close
actually,
to.
We had a meeting yesterday in my office, the Audit Authority. I think we're just the board, the board of legislators passed the bonding commitment last week, so they're good to go, and so I think you'll see, that we're just working out a final agreement between the county and the Aud, which should be done in the next few days, and you could see construction hopefully, begin hopefully August 1st.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
I think we're in a good spot, or right around August to get.
And my guess is that based on what's there, that'll move pretty quickly.
Well, that's our hope. Certainly, the main foundation and structure is there. So now it's a matter of piecing. There's work to do, but remember, there's of the work there's a third of it is in there because with what we've spent so far and what is owed. It's about a third of the project. So
right.
That gives them a good head start to pick up and
they don't believe there's going to need to be any taking down of anything to put
we haven't
it
heard
back
that
up.
yet. I think when they looked at the concern about the structure and the steel. Certainly they there may be some refinishing on some of the or sandblasting to clear up some of the rust on the inner side of it.
Yeah.
Because it's about the fireproofing and whatever else has to go. But the engineers seem to be pretty confident that they can move forward, and we'll see. We'll see what happens once they get into it. But we can move forward with that too, and that'll be another piece.
And you mentioned how I think we really are seeing this. A lot of businesses took this time, and there was funds that a lot of funding that was rolling around, and a lot of businesses took that to improve facade programs and that sort of thing. You're seeing an upgrade happen in a lot of places. Lastro, the restaurant at the old Oneida National building, opened.
That's phenomenal. And that's really another great.
Food was, by the way, we went last night. Food was awesome.
Yeah, and then that's another great structure that you don't want to see those structures just just deteriorate.
Yeah.
And but to that point, the Main Street program we're going to be rolling out. We talked about it. The state of the county. We've got some towns and villages that are anxious to jump on board, and we'll be rolling that out so that they can do the same thing because we have a lot of areas that have the business districts that need some little boost and rejuvenation.
I hate to say, but we got to take this as there's opportunity right now.
There really is.
After all of this, there's a great deal of opportunity.
And it can't be squandered.
Up against the clock. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good to be here.
County Executive Anthony Picente.